And, you know, I'm always thinking, what's next?
Yeah.
When the ceiling becomes your floor, it's time to move to the next room. That's the saying that I go by. You start from scratch over and over and over again, but every single time you bring more passion, more knowledge, and more kind of grit to be like, I'm going to prove you wrong.
Welcome back to another episode of the Wibs podcast. Today we have a very special guest. It's Sherel Schnyder, the founder of Lobo footwear. It's the first Australian brand to create a fully convertible heel that transforms from a flat to a high in seconds. From battling manufacturing setbacks in Europe to turning her patented idea into a viral global brand, Sherel is redefining what it means to build fashion with function. Let's get into the episode.
Hi, I'm Natasha.
And I'm Penny.
And welcome back to the Wibs.
So today we have Sherel. Welcome to the podcast. We're so excited to have you. And you're the founder, creator of Lobo footwear. So tell everyone, for the people who don't know at home, people who haven't seen it yet, what's your product? Because it's really cool.
Firstly, thank you for having me, Natasha and Penny. It's an absolute pleasure. Lobo footwear is all about empowering women to have it all. It's Australia's first convertible high heel brand. And basically you can wear your beautiful high heel stilettos and not have to sacrifice comfort. You can switch them out, put them in your handbag and put on a pair of flats.
It is honestly, like I was just obsessed with your website, your branding. I think like even like the convertible heel side, like these are really cool heels. Like they're the type that like you would not expect them to be convertible. I think that's the part that really sets you apart from, you know, any other brand that's even attempted this style. There's no, you can't tell. Like you cannot tell that they're convertible. I think that's awesome. How did you do this? It's awesome.
That was the aim. I really wanted to make sure that it was a premium product and not a gimmick and, you know, plastic of any means. It's all made in Europe. It's premium leather. And you really cannot tell. And that just purely comes down to engineering and 3 years of failing, really, and then just reiterating every single time. And really me, myself, wearing the product and being happy with it. If I wasn't happy with it, there's no way I'd be putting it on the market. But yeah, it was really hard actually.
I want to go back to like early days of Lobo, because I'm like, you're saying it now. It's like, you know, in hindsight, it sounds like, yeah, it was 3 years and yeah, I did this and it took all these iterations. But like, take me back to like the first 60 days of the business. Like, what did that look like? Because you're like, I want to start a convertible shoe brand. It's not the easiest thing in the world to like just jump into.
I mean, to rewind, my partner often says, I thought I was at the finish line when I finally launched, because it took 3 years to iterate and it was relentless financially, you know, moving overseas. So I sacrificed everything. So to begin, it felt like, oh my God, I was starting all over again, and beginning is launching, right? Mm-hmm. But the first 60 days, so I had the idea about probably 7-8 years ago now. I was working corporate, very young in my career. It was a startup which really rapidly grew, and I kept getting promotions purely because I was there as one of the first employees. So I had a lot of this imposter syndrome now that I look back, and I didn't know at the time, but heels were my mask of feeling more powerful, more empowered, managing people older than me. So the idea came about then when I thought, you know, there has to be a solution to this. We're running around the CBD in high heels, pitching for capital or looking at properties. And I thought, you know, if I take these heels off, it's my identity off in a way as well. And my pride wouldn't let me do so. So I thought there's got to be a solution, did some Google searches. Nothing really existed other than there was one lady in France. And I just thought there has to be a better way to do this. But I didn't have the means at the time. I thought it would be me asking my dad to go in his garage and help me. You know, I didn't realise I was early on in the business world. Fast forward, COVID, a lot more business acumen, building a startup myself as an entrepreneur, working in the business. I realised I can do this. But the first quote I got was, you know, astronomical from an engineer, because you're really starting from scratch. This doesn't exist. And they present you 3 different ways. And they, of course, the most expensive one was the one I chose. And then you probably quadruple that in the end. So we sold our house. And I just had this unwavering self-belief of, like, I've got to be the person that can do this.
Yeah.
And it never scared me, which is the really cool thing. You know, it never scared me. I was like, yeah, of course this is going to work.
It's like you always had faith in the conviction of the brand. I love that origin story because I think it's incredibly relatable, especially for our listeners being women in business predominantly, and that feeling of imposter syndrome, which everyone that I've come across has experienced an element of it. I love how you speak to, you know, the heels or almost being like your armor, almost like this is kind of what helped me feel a bit stronger and stand a bit taller in those environments. I think that's a really, really visual way to, heels or, you know, makeup, heels, hair. I'm a huge believer in them being that armor and being that piece, especially for women in business to show up, because it helps us feel a little bit more confident in those situations where we probably feel less than confident, especially being young and in an environment where you're put in these management positions and you're like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden, like, I'm the one who you're answering to. Like, this is weird.
It's so true. It really was. And I don't think that makes you any less powerful, right? Like, leaning into our femininity is also a massive superpower. So I'm proud of that. I could have just taken off the heels and been more comfortable, but I want to have it all. So why can't we?
Yeah.
And that's why Lobo really evolved. So I'm so proud now that it's actually live and people can see what I envisioned maybe all those years ago.
Yeah, you're right. And I think you know, to have a vision like that, you're solving a problem that it is so common. Like, that is such a common, especially what you said, CBD. Like, I see so many women, you know, in their runners on the train or the bus and then having to change to the heels, and it's just like such a juxtaposition between having to wear these like big chunky runners with your socks and like put it on, then wear into these like feminine heels. It's so nice and even like while traveling, you know, when you're traveling, you don't want to pack, you know, 10 heels or 10 different types of product with you. You just want that one, which I feel like where yours fits in so beautifully because it kind of helps, you know, that 2-in-1 process.
Yeah, of course. And like, I've looked at your product and thought to myself, I wish that more brands would do this. I'm glad that you're there and you're being the first to be able to represent in such a beautiful way, because there are so many, like, I guess, alternative versions that are not quite right. And I feel like they weren't designed, they were designed with like a cash grab for a woman in mind, I feel like, and not for a woman that loves to dress fashionably or like with her femininity. Was that always like the journey behind it? It's like you want it to be as fashionable as possible?
Thank you for recognizing that. Yeah. That's exactly what I intended. I thought, you know, these things, how long it took me to come to market, other brands had come on, and I still thought I would never wear those. I'd rather have bleeding feet, no offense, than be comfortable in those. Which, you know, credit to, it would have been such a hard journey as well. But for me, it was like, I love fashion. And I think the Australian market, you know, we do tend to follow these beautiful trends. So it had to be a premium product. It had to look as though I would want to wear it, and, you know, the likes of Abby Chatfield would want to wear it, and some of these stylists that are wearing it. So it's surreal to come to life. And those 3 heel heights that I have is just the beginning. You can actually have any style of heel you want. So they were just the 3 that I launched with, to give some point of difference, really.
Yeah, and it's incredible. But talk to us a little bit more about like the Abby Chatfield of it all. Like, how do these influencers, these high profile people, get Lobo in their hands? Like, is this something that you're tactically going out and doing and sending them product, or is it they're like organically stumbling across it?
It was pretty organic, I would say. I don't have a social media background or a fashion background here. I love to wear clothes, but my background isn't that. And the social media side of things really does scare me the most. You know, selling my house didn't scare me, but the social media side of things seems so alien to me. So it naturally happened where the product, these pointed different shoes, the green, the zebra,
the patterns, like, honestly, you have to check like the pattern. That's what I'm saying. It's so unique. You've already got a unique concept of, you know, that alone is enough to disrupt the market here in Australia. But then you then hit it with like these unreal designs. It's awesome.
Thank you. So yeah, I think the colours, it attracted a bit more of a quirkier crowd, which I really was hoping for as well. And then I think I was just resharing what people were posting on their page. And it was the changing of the heels. And it got some traction on TikTok through a really incredible girl named Chloe Ashley Taylor. She makes brooches. She wore it and it went viral from there. And then I think a stylist in Melbourne wore it maybe before then, Rattle Style. And Abby saw it on her For You page. So she just followed me. And then I was like, oh, is the Abby Chatfield. So I just messaged her saying, hey, thanks for the follow. Let me know if you want a pair. And then she posted them on her own accord. I sent them to her. I never heard anything back. I never asked, for her to do it. I never paid her. And then randomly one day I was walking on Smith Street getting chuckle chicken.
As you do, yeah, I can relate, yeah.
And I ordered, and then I was like in my flip-flops. It was January or December. It was summertime. And my partner and I were walking together, and then I said, oh my God, Abby's just posted the shoes. And then my Shopify was...
No.
Yeah, so
it's a direct correlation.
I left. We were having like date night. I ran home.
You're like, we're done, babe. Yeah.
And then I called my web designer saying, hey, like we need to switch to pre-order because I don't have stock. So that was a surreal moment with Abby. So a great one.
How exciting.
Yeah, and I need to thank her properly for that. I need to send her something. But, the likes of business owners, you say you will, and then it falls to the bottom of the list. So I do need to thank her.
Oh, that's unreal. And what a special, the fact that it's organic actually probably speaks more volumes than if we were talking about paid influencers. Because I know that paid influencers does, have a space in business ownership and business growth. But I actually think your story is even more special because of the fact that you didn't, and it was literally like she saw it, she followed, she liked it, like then she decided to wear it. I think for that speaks more volumes to your product than if you did have this like kick-ass influencer strategy.
Yeah, and I think that it's like a lot of people I see, especially in like the work that we do, there is this like reliance to an extent of like, okay, I'm going to go pay an influencer and we're going to promote it and we're going to get the PR out of it and everything's going to be amazing and everything's going to work. And I think the advice I would give people is to make sure that you have that level of alignment, because what you said before was interesting, which is the shoes and the design, especially the ones that Abby posted, they are a bit quirkier. Yeah. They are a bit more out there. And I think it really suited her audience and also her as a person and the fashion sort of stylistic choices that she makes. But do you think that's why it really hit with people, because it was such an organic piece of content?
I think so. But before her was Rattle Style, and that was another serendipitous moment where she had posted my shoes on her page. I had no idea. She never tagged me. And this was, this is my ideal shoe or something like this.
Oh, wow.
And then I met with an agency to talk about what my next steps are. And she said, I feel like you should reach out to Rattle Style. She suits your shoes. She had this vision. And then when I was stalking her page at night, I saw my own shoes on her page. So I think the organicness and the authenticity, and I think being so cash conscious, like I don't have this massive budget for marketing.
Yeah.
Which, I think in a way that works really well for you as well, because it's really reliant on how good your product is and not how great your marketing is. And sometimes I hate that, but I truly think that the authenticity of the shoe and not just playing to, the monotone colours, it really worked to my advantage in that way.
I think that's an important message as well, because a lot of early starting business owners who want to start a business and they don't have a lot of budget. Like we've spoken about it quite a few times. You rather need time or money, or both, and some people will invest their time into it with content and nonstop content, or invest money in, and it sounds to me that you have done a kind of bit of a both, but you've also invested a lot of, it sounds like you invested a lot in the product development of it all, which is obviously incredibly important for a business like yours, because you need it to be, a certain standard, you're if you're going to do it, you do it right.
Yeah. And we want to hear more about like the manufacturing side of it. Like you're in Europe, you're getting the design. Like what does that look like? Like how often are you going over there? What's the process?
I mean, that could be a podcast in itself, that and raising capital. Like they're two, the stories are endless. Anything from getting ghosted by factory owners, getting catfished by agents that you speak to and then you fly over and they don't,
What do you mean?
There's so many stories.
Like, what do you mean? So you start a conversation, you're like, okay, we're in, I'm going to go visit you, and then they're just not there.
No, so this is a story I've never shared publicly, but it is like the most pivotal thing in my whole Lobo journey was I started the business during COVID, the engineering, and, we sold my assets, working with an engineer. But these engineers don't understand footwear. There's no footwear manufacturing in Australia. Who do we go to? We can only take it to a certain point. So we basically built a robot. Our first iteration was very mechanical. It's also male engineers that I was working with. So I needed a factory input. So I went searching for factories. A lot of these factories don't have an online presence. And the ones that do are not necessarily factories. They're agents that speak English and use that to their advantage. So I met this factory. I used to scour the internet with other brands, following their followers, looking at which factories they followed.
Smart.
Anyhow, I then met this agent, this factory, and we had FaceTime calls and video calls all the time. I bought gifts over, I sent gifts over for their children, and then my gut feel was like, I need to go and visit these people. And when I said, I'm coming to visit you, I'm going to do a factory tour, they said, you don't need to. We'll just send the shoes to you. So my gut feel was really strong. I went to Spain first. I went to Italy and then went to Portugal. And when I got there, it was like they were complete, not factories. They knew nothing about footwear. So it's also why I wasted so much money with my engineers failing all this time, because they had no, footwear knowledge. So finding a factory, the most serendipitous thing about that, though, it did bring me to Portugal. And the factories that they did show me, pretending it was theirs, in the end, I'm actually working with.
Oh, wow.
Because they saw my product. They were innovative.
Okay.
That, I think using me not speaking the language to their advantage, like they were speaking about things and I couldn't understand.
Yeah, yeah.
So, there's stories like that are just like, you asked me earlier if I've wanted to give up at any point, like there are moments where you're like, oh my God.
That's tough. That's really tough. That's horrible.
And you start from scratch.
Yeah.
You start from scratch over and over and over again. But every single time you bring more passion, more knowledge, and more kind of grit to be like, I'm going to prove you wrong. You know?
Yeah, you're right.
So finding a factory was kind of really tough. But now that I found people I genuinely love working with, it's cohesive. It's moving the product along a lot faster. But a lot of that delay was lack of professional knowledge of footwear.
Well, you're starting new. You learn more from your failures than your success, right? Yeah. Like you learn more from the things that you've done that you've made a mistake about and been like, oh, I shouldn't have done that or whatnot. And you know what? In hindsight, you probably couldn't have done much differently because they got you in.
I didn't know, And hindsight was the best side. And, people think that when you have a product, factories just say, yeah, I'd love to work with you. This product, every factory owner, or majority said, like, this will never, ever work. It's impossible. It goes against fashion. So
really?
For them to finally take my product on board, these scammers, I was like really excited,
Of course. Like, I got it. Yeah. Mate, you know what? Everything happens for a reason. Maybe you need that validation in the early days to be like, I'm right. That's awesome.
And I think just following your gut is that big thing there, because something always didn't feel right.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting how you share the the not so great part of it all. When it sounds to me like the partnerships, especially earlier in innovating, because I think where your product's very unique to a lot of the businesses that we do speak to is yours is like a completely new innovation, essentially from scratch that you've had to invest highly in, and those partnerships are really, really important. Did you work with anyone else, like consultants or anything, to help it, or did you just like let yourself in your own guide your own journey essentially?
No, like I did it in complete private as well. Like I didn't share that I was doing it. I had a really, big role at a company, and I was there for almost 8 years. So I felt as though if I shared that I was doing this because I cared about the owner so much and the client so much, they would feel that my attention was diverted, for one. So I never shared that I was doing this. And then also I just felt like whoever I did told me how impossible it was. So I had to protect my I had to protect my energy really and be like, okay, well, my partner knew, my close friends knew, but everyone just thought I was kind of a bit nuts and it would never work. But I didn't really get external opinions ever, and I couldn't, because unless you know footwear really well, you can't really help me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But I did, it got to a point where I had used my own capital that I needed external capital, and that's when I started to get financial advice.
Okay.
But never on innovation or the business or I guess the range.
Yeah. And it's true. Like, I feel like people always like say to you that it's like, they'll call you crazy and they'll say it's impossible, and then it can't be done until you do it. And then they're like, wow, how did you do it? And like, it's because I showed up in the face of everybody telling me that it couldn't be done.
Yeah. And now I laugh when people are like, you know, I'm going to start a business, and it's, you know, I think you spoke about it the other day on your podcast as well, about like the glamorization of it and like people getting headshots before they've even like done their business plan. It's like, that's not what it is, you know. It is really hard, and it was really, really hard, and it was really unglamorous for a really long time, and a lot of sacrifice. A lot of sacrifice.
I think what's really special to what you're talking about is there's just the sheer nature of how much you backed yourself in that moment. And I think that's really inspiring, because I know how hard it can be when you've got all these voices, and it's really easy to listen to people. Like that's cutting out the noise is really hard, but cutting out the noise and having focus is so important for anything that you do, whether it's your career or starting a business. I think it's really, really important. How did you go about that? Because I think that the biggest thing, especially in our days, which yes, we did speak to, which is it is so glamorized right now to have a business, right? A lot of people are starting a business almost for the purpose of content as well. Like a lot of people are, you know, and we speak a lot to content. We've had a lot of incredible content creators here, influencers, whatnot. And I think it plays such an important part in growing a business, absolutely. But I actually really love that your business, and a lot of it was done in private because it's incredibly unique. And I love that you're now on the other side of it. Like, yep, I've got this awesome business. You know, you've had big time influencers, big public profiles share it without you even having to ask. Like, I love how you've almost proven the case that you do not have to share every moment of your life to be successful.
Yep.
And how did you come to that? Like when it comes to that point of, you know, do I post content? Do I not? How did you cut out the noise?
It's so interesting because if you know me, I am quite a bubbly, confident person, and I do have a bit of a chaotic life where I'll say yes to everything, you know? So people have often said like, share your founder story, share it. Like, you know, I lived in Portugal solo, did these random things that, I don't know, something in me was like, it shouldn't be about that as much as, and also I did lack a bit of confidence posting, not from people that I don't know, from people that I do know.
That's so common.
Which is so common, right? But I think really it's also came down to when I wanted to launch this premium product at a premium price point, that I felt it was almost conflicting to be posting me sitting on a factory floor with a screwdriver and, you know, crying. Like I spend a lot of time crying.
Yeah, so we all, don't worry.
So it's so unglamorous.
Yeah.
And that's not why I didn't post it. Like I look back at those videos with so much proudness.
Of course.
But I just felt like, I don't know. It meant more. It meant so much to me to launch it without the opinion and also the negativity, like the voices of, why are you doing this? You had a great career, or, you know, even like leaving my partner, we were married and I went overseas solo for almost 2 years. Like the voices of you're going to damage your life and all these things. I just felt like I just got to do this.
Yeah, just let me do it, please. Just trust me. And I think that unrelenting trust in yourself and backing yourself, I think is so inspiring, because you're so right. Like there is so many things that get in your head when it comes to those things and voices, but you had the ability to cut it out. And it also goes to show that like, not everything is content related as well. Like you can grow a successful business, have people really interested in it, have big time, you know, people coming to you, asking you for the product without having to put yourself out there to that extent until you're ready.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I wish I had the ability to edit and do these things. I have the content, I just don't know how to put them together and post it. Sometimes that gets me down too. I wish I could, but I need to outsource. So if anyone's interested, DM me. I need someone.
There's always a place for it, but you're right. It's just like a different time. Like there's seasons for everything. Like your season was just getting the product right. It wasn't content at that point. That's okay. That's
I also
fine.
love the fact that, because I think we see a lot of stories which are the complete opposite, which is I didn't have a long business journey. I just started posting one day and I grew my following, and that's eventually how I grew my business, whatever it may be. And I think that's one way of doing it. But I also love the fact that the way you grew it was you solved a real problem and a real need and a gap in the market that people had. And that's where the success came from. And I would say that there's merit to both ways, but there is something really special about having a very specific pain point and tapping into that, and the desire of people wanting to have that problem solved be the thing that motivates them and drives them to post, to buy, to share your product in the first place. Because really that's how you got your footing. Like you had a stylist that was incredible that found it and said, that's my dream shoe. You had, someone with a public profile that was really happy and excited to share and talk about the content. And do you feel like, or do you see a lot of brands in your space in fashion having that same level of success without the founder story attached to it?
It's funny at the moment. I'm in this, I'm quite vocal about it with my inner circle of like, there's so much noise. It's sometimes it's not about how good your product is. It's just what influencers you can get wearing it, or how good it's smoke and mirrors. You go on and you talk and,
that's what fashion is. I feel like fashion labels in particular are all smoke and mirrors. Like you see all the beautiful stuff on the outside, and then you speak to the workers and they're like, this is not as fun as it looks.
Yeah. I mean, I try not to, just try to stay in my lane, because the moment you start kind of comparing and doing all these things, and I think to my advantage is not being from fashion, because I don't have that ego where I'm too good to not to post something, so it's actually worked to my advantage, but I have a long way to go as well. So I'm really aware of that, and I need to get in the game a bit more and be actively posting. I haven't posted in a really long time. And that's purely just comes down to there's other things that I'm doing for the business and it falls to the bottom. Mm-hmm. But posting is so important in this day and age. And the moment I do post, or the moment I am marketing anything, the sales are showing.
You see a correlation between the two.
A real correlation, and I need to either upskill or outsource.
Yeah. I think it's important to recognize that. And again, I think there's different lanes for different businesses, right? Some businesses really thrive in the environment of content, and I don't doubt that yours will. Yours absolutely will thrive in a content space. However, there's also as I said earlier, seasons for it all. You need to get, for your product to be incredibly successful, the product needs to be right. You can't even look at content or influencers if your heels don't work or the manufacturing doesn't work. So I actually think it's a testament to you as a business owner to look at it strategically, and instead of getting lost in the noise, you're like, no, let's get this right. And now that you're at a point where you're like, no, I actually can see the correlation. I can see where it's going. Yeah. I know my product's amazing now. I'm so confident in it. Now I want everyone to see how beautiful and amazing it is.
It's so true, and it's so important. I said this on the founder session that I did, but ask yourself, why are you starting a business and why are you doing it? Is it for just public recognition, or are you so passionate about your product that you're willing to eat cans of tuna for the rest of your life for that product to get to market? Not the rest of your life, maybe. But do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
And I just can't stress enough. I've got so many friends that start a business for the Instagram handle or for the headshot. It's not about that. It's you got to really love the product, and that's my why was stronger. My why was I need to solve a problem. I need to be the first in Australia. That was my driving factor, not the public recognition.
I also think it's your why that's going to help you remain consistent in the world of content, because content is cutthroat. Content is so new to all of us, which I think it's why it's such an interesting topic, because it's new to us. It's how do you post? What do you post? When do you post? But it's also you can't really predict how it's going to act, right? You don't know. You can't say, okay, I'm going to post these 10 videos and they're all going to get X amount of views or whatever. You don't know. It's so up and down. But it's your why that keeps you going. It's like, okay, I'm just going to keep doing it. I don't care. I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm just going to keep pushing. I'm just going to keep pushing because I know this product is good and I'm going to prove to all of you guys this product is good. But the people that kind of start, you know, because of the public recognition, then go to the product, I see them losing a bit of that fire sooner. And it's because they don't have that fire. And I think before you start posting, regardless whether you're ready or not, I don't think it's the ready part. I think it's the why. You're completely right. If you don't have your why before you're posting, you will get over it really fast.
Yeah, it's not fun.
It's not fun. It's not, especially at the beginning. We as I said, we've spoken to heaps of content creators that are like, oh my gosh, at the beginning, like I was just like, posting to like a dead audience, and you just got to keep going. You got to keep going. But that's the reality of content. It's that cringe mountain that we speak about all the time where you feel cringe, but no one looking at you does, but you do. And you've just got to keep going, and you just got to keep going and keep going and keep going. And one day, you know, it'll stick. But I think the most important advice that you've given amongst everything else, like I think the backing yourself is honestly the biggest takeaway I've had. But I think the starting with your why before you go into anything.
Yeah.
That's your anchor. That's what's going to bring you back to anything. Even if you post, you're like, that's cringe. Who cares? It's going to get your product out there.
Exactly.
I want to rewind as well for a second, because I think that for a lot of people listening, like they're maybe younger women in business, and I want to kind of go back into, you know, being like an entrepreneur, what you spoke about, because I think that there's a dream for a lot of people to like have their own business for one of a myriad of different reasons. Maybe it's because they want to solve a problem. Maybe it's because they do want that level of clout. Maybe it's because they want a lifestyle type of business. But tell me about the transferable skills that you had, like when you're working for somebody else, that you're like, okay, that has set me up for success in my business and what I do day to day.
That's such a great question. I think being an entrepreneur and working for the company I worked for has set me up tremendously. I've only ever worked for founders, and I love working for founders because the moment something gets so operational and there's this level of management and this person doesn't care, like I love people that care. So I think working for a founder, an incredible founder, by the way, for 8 years, has taught me so much. I think seeing, you know, he would raise capital by just being himself, and his passion for his product, the sacrifices that he made. I think moving fast, you know, innovating constantly and staying in your lane, like not watching what your competitors are doing, really just staying in your lane. And yeah, I'm just trying to think. There's so much, but I always refer back to what I've learned there. And now that makes me an incredible employee as well, because I just feel like I'm always thinking of what the founder, you know, people are employed to make the founder's vision come to life and make their life easier, not harder. So being adaptable, resilient, moving forward, making mistakes fast, they're things that I apply to Lobo every day. But also in a negative way, negative way for the business I worked for, we often made mistakes by being too frugal and doing things as contra. And no one ever wins when it's contra, in my opinion. People do 50%. Whereas like I'm just willing to pay for the premium first, and everything else will come. That's what I've taken away predominantly.
That's incredible. And I think that like Tash and I have both been in this position. Like you're a founder now yourself, but working for people who have worked in those smaller businesses where it's like a real startup culture, there's a lot of hustle, and there's a lot of difficult things about working with it. But I think there are a particular brand of people, and you hit the nail on the head, which is like you care a lot.
Yeah, it's also like I don't know, controversial or not, but I just think like it's something that university would never teach you. Like,
oh my God, no way.
It's the getting in there and being a part of it, and even now where my business at the moment, whilst it's been around for a while, we're in a real startup. Like it's a startup feel, it's a startup phase, and that energy and that for me is like the best thing to be a part of. But not only for myself, but also for the team to see, because they are front row seats in all of our mistakes. Like they are front row seats. They're seeing it. They're seeing us opening up a bottle of wine on a Friday, being like, okay, guys, let's have a glass of wine. This week was like messed up, like, you know. But they're seeing that, and they're seeing that, you know, there is real emotion behind founders and entrepreneurs and business owners that was very hidden from us, I think, in our parents' generation.
Of course.
Whether you weren't allowed to see, founders struggle or, getting nervous. But I really love this generation of startups and founders that are like, hey, this is chaotic. You said earlier you cry. Yeah, absolutely. Like we all cried. Like, although the toilets when I worked at the gifting business that I worked for, oh my goodness, I was in those toilets every second day crying, and then I'd walk out and be like, all right, guys, what's happening? Like no one knew.
Right, it's great, but it's also important to recognize it's not for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So I remember, I was employee number 2 or 3 at the startup I worked at. When I left, there was hundreds of employees and multiple locations, but we always were responsible for hiring. And I think when you can have that passion, you hire that passion, and you can recognize when someone doesn't have it. But also a question I would say is, how do you deal with fast-paced change? There's no rule book or guideline. Oftentimes we're changing direction really fast. How do you deal with that? And if their answer was, I hate that, I say, this is not the place for you. This is an environment of you're basically having full authority and autonomy to do what you need to do to get the job done. It doesn't matter how you get it done. So it's also equally important. We needed those people sometimes for certain roles that didn't love that chaos because we needed their order.
Yeah.
So it's really important. And I think in Lobo too, like I'm the innovator. I sometimes need the operations, to look at my finances.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yes, yeah. You're saying you invested heavily. So, yeah. Like I like the good people, the good stuff, the good expensive ones. You probably, definitely need finance.
Yeah. So it's also okay not to be entrepreneur and be entrepreneur, because we, as entrepreneurs, we need those entrepreneurs.
Absolutely. I like how you're both though. I like how you can kind of lean on both, like you lean on both sides of energy, which I think is important as well. Like you were quite comfortable and really happy to be that, entrepreneur and learn and be like a sponge, and to take a business from 2 to 100 employees alone, like regardless of revenue and all of that other stuff, which I'm sure was incredible. But just headcount alone is intense pressure, like I can't imagine, how much you would have been just thrown in the deep end every day. I think, it is, again, like almost like a baptism of fire where you're able to just go there and be like, this is what it is. So now you're in a business where you've got ownership, you've got control. You're able to kind of look at the strategy lent on what you've learnt in the past. What is next? Like, what is next for Lobo? Like, tell me what your vision is.
It's amazing now that the vision I had all these years ago has come to fruition. And, I'm always thinking, what's next?
Yeah.
When the ceiling becomes your floor, it's time to move to the next room. That's the saying that I go by. And what's next for me is, okay, we've done product market fit. We know that people want the product. We know that people, these quirky styles people like. And I've got an abundance of, styles that I want to release with the input that I've received from the previous styles. So now it's to really change, to get more stylish. We did some basic styles, even the heels were a bit quirky, but it's still basic. So I want to make it a bit more stylish, and then launch into bridal, launch into overseas markets. So the amazing thing about TikTok is it's a global market, and I wasn't set up for that, which, lost me a lot of opportunities. So now it's opening up those opportunities again, having a few more viral moments, and I'm Australia's leader, but I need to be the world leader in this product next.
Absolutely. I love the idea of bridal. Oh my goodness. Think about it. Like how many, like you want to dance all night, but far out. I'm like,
even in between venues, like being able to just rub it off, like go where I need to go, pop it back on. That, honestly,
that's unreal.
Where were you when I needed you 3 years ago?
We needed you. Yeah.
The bridal is launching this week. I've got all the photos. Again, I just haven't had time to post them, but bridal's launching this week.
This is what you need to do. That's your homework after the podcast today. Yeah. You're going home and you're posting everything.
Yeah. That's unreal. Like and especially like having a special, like something so special as your product, premium product for weddings. I think that would be absolutely perfect. The other thing I really respect about what you're saying is, I'm obsessed with the idea of a capsule wardrobe, and we're all in nudes and like navies, and like we're all in those like capsule wardrobe kind of outfits and whatnot. But one thing I've noticed is, and this was a bit of a trend on TikTok for a while there, they were all kind of starting to like dress alike and look alike, and starting to really kind of fit into, especially Melburnians. There's like a Melbourne outfit essentially. But what I love and what I'm yearning for as a consumer is that point of difference and that uniqueness. Like when I'm looking into my wardrobe now, or when I'm shopping now, I'm looking for color. Like I want color. I want to stand out now in a time when capsule's so popular.
Yeah.
So I'm like craving a business like yours to come out and just be like, hey, look, you know, in a world of capsule, we can do that too. Don't worry. Like we got you covered there.
Yeah.
But for when you want to stand out, you've got us too.
Pops of colour with still being premium. That was really the brief, you know, and I think a few people do it really well, but it's oftentimes it's either capsule or full colour.
Spot
and there's
on.
nothing in between, and hopefully Lobo can continue to encapsulate that and give that to its users.
And be that special piece that I think, especially with fast fashion, one thing that we're also yearning for is like that piece that you wear that you feel really good in. Like it's like that special pair of heels that you put on. You're like, these are my power heels. Like these are the ones that I'm going to go into a podcast, or I'm going to go and speak on stage, or I'm going to go and do a meeting in. It's that special thing. I think in fast fashion, we're really missing that because things are so easily replaced. I think we're missing that like sentimental items that really make you feel strong.
And I think, it's like being able to have that. It is kind of coming full circle back to what you were saying. Is that armor that you have. Like when I have like a beautiful tailored piece or like a great pair of heels, there is something really special about how you feel elevated and how you hold yourself differently.
It's so true. And also the thing about Lobo that I never knew was like it's an icebreaker and conversation starter of, oh my God, look what my heels can do. So people have given me that feedback of like I went to a wedding and I barely knew anyone and I made all these friends, and then I see ads come through on my Instagram of people, you know, at a wedding or at a function seeing these shoes. So yeah, it's a conversation starter too, I think, when you've got that little point of difference.
Definitely. So I've got a question that we like to ask everybody here, and it is, if you had one piece of advice for your fresh out of school self, what would it be?
I think, you know, I've got a few.
No, hit me. I want all of them. Because you've got to remember, you know, you've come such an incredible way. Obviously, you've had an incredible, you've kind of hit the women in business trifecta. Like you've come such an incredible way with, you know, career as a career woman. Then you've started your own business. You traveled. You really chose yourself in a time when, you know, you had a partner. You still have a partner. You know what I mean? You've been able to prove that you can choose yourself, have a successful relationship, have a really cool career, have a really cool business. Like you've kind of like
be a mum.
And be a mum. I don't even know. I don't know what's a four tractor. Whatever's after that, that's what you are. Like you've just been able to show that you can do all of these things for anyone listening, and I think that's really, really important. So remember that a lot of the people listening are very early in their careers as well, and they want to hear from you, from someone like you, like looking up to it now. What would you tell, you know, yourself fresh out of high school?
It makes me quite emotional hearing, you know, if I could hear me now at 18, you know, I think tap in. As women, we have this incredible intuition and primal instinct that goes beyond reason or logic. And I think that we often forget that with all the noise, especially with now kids having social media and, you know, you're looking at what everyone else thinks and wants. But if you can tap into like, who am I and what sets my soul on fire, and then you chase it, even if it's the windier road, do it. I took the windier road straight out of school. I went overseas on a soccer scholarship, and it was isolating and hard. And I remember seeing my friends living a different life, but it's paid dividends. And I think the people that I cared the most about what they thought, I look at them now and, you know, I'm really grateful that I've taken a different path. And I think that, just tap into who you are, what sets you on fire, without the noise of everyone else, because it's oftentimes, I do think it's like you're in a child. What lights you up is there for a reason. It's your passion, it's your purpose. It's not, it doesn't need to be what lights someone else up, you know?
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that I've heard from you today is just your ability to just, cut out the noise and back yourself. Like those two things are incredibly hard, but it sounds like you built those through resilience, through different choices that you made where you're like, I'm just going to throw myself in. I'm just going to do this and see how it goes.
Yeah, you figure it out. And also just have a bit of fun. Like I don't know, I took life really seriously, and I sometimes wish I had a bit of fun, because life is like, it does get more serious, you know? Yeah. So just have a bit of fun too. So that's my advice.
No, I think
That's
it's
great
awesome.
advice.
I think it's something that everyone needs to hear, because I think especially when you come out of high school in particular, you're kind of like, all these opportunities, how do I choose it? And you see the end result, which is you now, incredibly, you've got, especially like a fashion brand, like I know, like fresh out of high school self, now I'm like, you're amazing. But fresh out of high school stuff, I would have been like, how do you even look at that? How do you even get to that trajectory? And I think your advice of just like throw yourself in there, have a go, just see what happens. But make sure you're really clear on you and not listening to everyone else, because that's the part that I think a lot of people get lost with.
For sure. No matter how confident you are, it's hard not to. And I think experience, like it's underestimated how much, not many people, unless you're the Elon Musk of the world, get to just wake up and be like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
I had to go through my career and know that 9 to 5 wasn't for me. Now I work 24/7, but like, no,
I love that part. Yeah,
but
that's
I
my
can
favorite.
do it where I want.
Yeah.
Geographical freedom, that is really important. So experience is also real. You've got to kind of do the hard yards, and I didn't know this is what I wanted to do back then. So experience leads you there.
Yeah. And now it's a choice. Like now you've got choice and you've got the ability to make those decisions, which I think is, again, so inspirational to hear. So thank you so much for coming on board.
Thank you, Sherel. Like, this was incredible. And I think that for someone, maybe earlier on in their career, maybe not loving the 9 to 5, or maybe, being thrown in the deep end and not really sure where they want to go, they're going to get a lot of value out of listening to you today. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you've been incredible. As I said, you're in a world, you've helped kind of cut out that noise. You know what I mean? And be really strong on that cut the noise part, which I think is really important and probably not spoken about enough.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being here, and thank you everyone for listening. Sherel, where can people find you? Where can they hear more about Lobo?
Yep, you can follow Lobo Footwear at Lobo Footwear on Instagram, on TikTok, and my personal profile is just at Sherel. So yeah.
Beautiful.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for being here, and we will be back in your ears in 2 weeks' time.
See you then.
Bye.